We're back with more of our special America's High, the case for and against pot. 13 states now allow the use of marijuana for medicinal purposes, and there are hundreds of thousands of people who, after getting a doctor's recommendation, not a prescription, a recommendation, can literally choose the kind of pot they want to take. There's often no limit on how much they can get. Some places have about an ounce a day limit. The pot, or cannabis, is sold by dispensaries, and there are hundreds of them in the Los Angeles area alone, about 600. I went to one the other day. It's called The Pharmacy. It sells cannabis, and learned a lot about the many different options to choose from if you're looking for medical marijuana. Take a look.
So these names of different cannabis, these are all given by the people who are growing it.
Exactly.
Their particular blend.
Exactly.
So there's like Bubba Joe, Mendo Purple, Princess, Third Eye, Air Force One. This pharmacy has introduced a line of what they call edibles. These are lollipops that have cannabis in them. They're brownies and cookies, biscotti, chocolates, and chocolate bars. This pharmacy has even introduced their own line of drinks. This is mint green tea, enhanced mint green tea. So there's cannabis inside this. This can basically have the same impact as smoking some cannabis.
So there were customers in that dispensary who were getting marijuana for backaches, depression, anxiety. Another woman we profiled found a doctor on the internet who gave her a recommendation. It seems quite easy to become a legal user of marijuana, at least in the state of California, and that fact troubles a lot of people. Dan Simon tonight is keeping them honest.
So it's pain, anxiety, insomnia.
And depression.
Dr. Alan Frankel is a so-called pot doc. On a typical day, he says he'll see 13 patients at his Marina Del Rey office and recommend they use marijuana to help them with their various aches and pains.
I'm not trying to get patients stoned. I'm trying to get patients to feel normal.
Instead of a prescription, to obtain medical marijuana, a patient needs a doctor's formal recommendation, a letter. It's how you get inside one of the state's hundreds of dispensaries. You need to be at least 18. Minors can get it if their guardian approves. Dr. Frankel started his practice 3 years ago, after nearly 25 years working as a regular internist.
I think it's the greatest medication I've ever worked with. I really do.
For those who want it, getting access to medical marijuana in California is relatively easy.
Here to sign up for a new patient.
Chris Perez is a typical new patient, complaining of insomnia and depression.
How does marijuana help you?
It calms me down. It eliminates the confusion and the congestion out there.
After a 45-minute appointment, which includes a thorough briefing on the types of marijuana, Dr. Frankel gives him the recommendation.
I'm legal. I can legally do this now in the state of California.
Finding a pot doc in L.A. is like trying to find a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills. They're everywhere, in the classifieds and on the web. Dr. Frankel charges his new patients $200. By law, the recommendation can only be good for up to a year. Patients then have to go back to the doctor to get a renewal. It's a system that is also being fueled by the explosive growth of dispensaries. There are more than 600 in Los Angeles alone. To put that number in perspective, there are more dispensaries here than Starbucks, 7-Elevens, and even McDonald's. That's not what architects of the medical marijuana law like Reverend Scott Imler envisioned when California voters passed it in 1996. He says the dispensaries today are little more than dope dealers with storefronts.
That just wasn't the intention of Prop 215. It was to get people off the black market, not to institutionalize the black market.
Even Dr. Frankel estimates that about half of those buying medical marijuana are doing so just to get stoned. He says those users harm the industry and make it difficult for marijuana to be viewed as legitimate medication. At the same time, though, he says there's little doctors can do to combat misuse.
It's true. Will people lie? Yes, they'll lie to get anything. I am not that concerned about that because what they're just getting is cannabis.
Getting cannabis. At its worst, California has created a system with plain old drug abusers hiding under the cover of state laws. At its best, medication to help people manage their pain. Dan Simon, CNN, Los Angeles.
It's interesting to hear that doctor say it's the greatest drug he's ever worked with. That is certainly one opinion at one end of the spectrum. Still ahead, we're going to dig deeper with two activists on opposite sides of the pot debate. We'll let you decide who makes the best case for and against legalization. Also, the latest in the